What are the biggest things you need to avoid when you're walking a bass line? And there really are two cardinal sins of walking bass that if you just can avoid these two things, you're going to keep building and getting better and better and sounding good. So let's get to it. The two cardinal sins of walking bass. Okay, Book of Oscar, chapter 5. This is Bible of Bass, by the way. Don't you love how I don't do gimmicks? Most swingineth is the bassist who arrives at the root note on the downbeat, or when they truthfully mean. For in matters of bass and bed, may we never arriveth early. A little racy, a little weird, but it's true. So landing on the root note of the next chord a beat early, which is super common, and it's really hard not to do sometimes. Here's an example of it, just quickly so you can hear it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so right there I was playing from a G minor 7 chord to a C7 chord to an F major 7, also known as a 2-5-1 in F major, right? But as you could hear, I kept arriving at the next chord a beat early, and it's really kind of, it's noobish sounding, right? It's really kind of lame. But it's hard to avoid sometimes, and the reason for that is when you're walking up and down a scale or an arpeggio, sometimes you walk up to the next root note, and it's like you get there a beat early, and you're like, oh crap, your brain is like, I know I'm messing up, but I don't know how to avoid it, right? So here's how you practice it, and here's how you avoid that. A couple of things. The first is that just make it a rule in your practice, first of all. I know this might sound obvious, but hear me out. Just make it a rule that you're always going to land on the root note of a chord on beat 1. Every chord you see, you're going to land on the root note on beat 1. If you see 2 chords in a measure, you're going to land on one root note on beat 1, and wherever the next chord is, root note, right? It always sounds good. It's never going to sound lame. So if you can do that for a long time without even like getting outside of that, you're still going to sound good. That's number 1. The second thing is you want to practice going up and down the scale from one chord to another and the arpeggio and using passing tones, that is, notes that are not in the chord or not in the scale, as a way to time your root note, okay? And it only takes one. It only takes one passing tone to make that happen, okay? So for example, let's say I'm walking from my C7 chord to my F major 7 chord. So I'm going up the scale, C7, I go C, D, E, and I land on F on beat 4, right? Lame. Okay, how do I fix that? Well, I have 2 passing tones in between the C and the F that I can utilize to offset it so that I land where I want to. I can either go between the C and the D, I have a D flat in between, or from the D to the E, I've got E flat in between. Both of those are going to sound pretty good. Check it out. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Or and. Okay, in the midst of a walking bass line, that little passing tone is going to sound a little funky, but it also adds a little bit of tension to your bass lines, and again, it's going to help you offset the chord so that you land where you want to on beat 1. Hey everybody, in case you didn't know, I am a full-time online private bass teacher, so if you are interested in online bass lessons with a teacher who is professional, experienced, and prepared, let me know. My email is in the description. Shoot me an email. We'll get the conversation going, and we'll get together for a free consultation to talk about how I can help you get to where you want to go on this instrument. Okay? Can also do that when I'm working with my arpeggios. So let's go from the G minor 7 to the C7. Okay, so I'm connecting the G minor to the C7, and I'm going to use a G minor arpeggio from the bottom. Here we go. I'm going to go G minor, B flat, D, F, and then I can hit my C. That works, right? Okay, that doesn't sound bad. But I can make that sound a little bit hipper, a little bit cooler by adding a little passing tone. Let's instead just go G to B flat to D, and then let's go to the C using that passing tone in between, right? It sounds cool, and it makes it so that I hit my C7 chord with a C on the downbeat. Always sounds much better, sounds like a pro, doesn't sound like a noob. All right, let's go down the arpeggio. Here we go. G minor 7, down the arpeggio from the top. I'm going to go to my octave G here. My arpeggio is G, F is the flat 7, D is the 5th, B flat would be my 3rd. So of course I can go down the arpeggio and then up to C. That works fine. But also use that passing tone. Sounds great, right? Okay, so you want to practice your going up your scales, up your arpeggios, down your scales, down your arpeggios, super, super slow. That's also really, really important. Stay super slow when you're practicing this stuff. Let your brain recognize when you need to use a passing tone and have enough time in between your beats so that you can make the adjustment. Okay? There are other ways to connect chords that don't use, of course you can use chord tones and the scale instead of passing tones. Like right there, I just went up the G minor scale on the G minor 7 and then went around the C, above the C, and then back down. You can do all kinds of things to connect chords. It's all about practicing new ways to offset your notes so that you land on the root note on beat 1. Take it slow, but that right there is going to already make you sound more professional, just never missing that root note on the downbeat. It's a cardinal rule, and breaking it, my friends, is a cardinal sin. Okay, so back to the Bible of bass here. This one goes back. This is Old Testament, book of Paul. For they who playeth the fourth on a major tonality shall be one with Satan, for this will be known as the devil's fourth. And that bassist heretofore will be relegated for eternity to a Lawrence Welk tribute band. That's hell. We're talking about when we are on a chord that has a major tonality, which could be a major 7 chord, any major chord, or any dominant chord too. Dominant chords have a major triad that they start with. So if I take my C7 chord, which is C, E, G, and B flat, at the beginning of that arpeggio is that major triad, right? Any chord that has a major triad, we want to avoid the fourth above the root note. Okay, so if I'm on that C7 chord, I'm avoiding 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth is F. That note sounds horrendous. Let me play you something that sounds horrendous. Check it out. Ah! That's bad. Oh! Yeah, here's why the fourth sounds terrible on a major chord. Sounds terrible. It's because when you play a fourth on a major triad, you're making it sound like you're changing the chord. Sonically it sounds like you're changing this from a C7 chord to some type of F chord. It's just I can explain the kind of the theory behind it, but really, let's just keep it at what it sounds like. It just sounds like you're changing the chord. It can be on a dominant chord, a major 7 chord, whatever. It always sounds like you're just changing the tonality, and it just sounds raunchy. I mean, it really does. So that's just one of those things that like is going to be automatically lame and make you sound like a noob, is playing the 4th. Can you ever play it? Yeah, sure. You can use it as a passing tone sometimes, but I would just practice avoiding it completely. Honestly, the best way to avoid it is to start by practicing just playing your chord tones. So in other words, just practicing your arpeggios, because the 4th is never part of the arpeggio unless you're playing a suspended chord, whatever. We could get into that another time. But on a minor 7th or a dominant 7th chord, the 4th is never part of the chord, right? So if you just practice playing with just root notes, then you're never going to hit it, okay? And other than that, when you're practicing playing up and down your scales, again, just practice going slow. This one's really simple. Just go slow and skip over it. So if I'm practicing that C7 chord and I want to play up the scale, the C Mixolydian scale that goes with the C7 chord, I can just skip it. C, D, E. Okay, wait, if I play a G, I'm outlining the root note. That sounds great. Nice, right? If I just skip it, good things are going to happen. Walking bass is very complex. There's so much to practice. This is one of those, hey, how do you empty a river with a bucket? Well, one bucketful at a time, right? One thing at a time. But if you practice playing with good time and good sound, and you avoid these two rules, not playing the 4th on major chords, and making sure you're not getting to the root note of the next chord a beat early, your ear and your practice is going to start leading you to good decisions by default. So that's what I'm leaving you with today. I'm going to keep this one simple. If you want some more tips and tricks for walking bass, there's lots of great videos out there. Rich Brown's got some really good videos on the brownstone, and I've got another video with some tips and tricks for walking bass lines themselves. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy practicing, and may you be swingingeth.